started off at the Attenborough Arts Centre long before it was actually conceived, and that was because there was a studio in the main campus of the universities. It was not very suitable for disability. We needed to find somewhere and have somewhere that was much better. And I went on a course for artists who wanted to develop their practice. And out of that I was offered a job. That was really brilliant for me because I'd just finished working full-time and really wanted to actually get more involved with art as well as the disability aspect. And every time I come in, I always feel inspired. It's a very kind of creative place. You feel you can have creative conversations with all kinds of people. Yesterday I was bringing an item in, for instance, and a guy said, "I'll help you with those." And it turned out that he was a musician that came in and enjoyed just being here and having a coffee here and so on. And I find that's what the Atten's about. Well, the natural environment has always inspired me for my work, and it's always concerned me as well. I recently have been working with the National Forest over the last few years with the G8 artists, and that really, in a way, has been an inspiration for me, and in a way could be a lifetime's inspiration because there's so much there to do. And so, as part of this exhibition, the effects of industry has also been one of the issues that I've been trying to deal with. Having worked on a mining site, for instance, I saw the effects of that on the environment, and although we in Britain really deal with it in a good way really now, because we now don't leave it as just as an old empty mining site and with holes and so on in the ground. We actually try to put a forest on it or deal with it in a sensitive way. That's only in recent years, and that to me is very important. So I've done masses of research, which has actually really sparked me off to know much more about Leicester and become quite excited about the city I live in. I wasn't born here, but having talked to people and then going to different museums, both city and county, and encountering really the archivists who actually have been brilliant. They've given us information, support, and a huge amount of knowledge about the items that are there. And so to me that's been a huge inspiration as well to be part of that. It's such a privilege really to find, and I suddenly realised how diverse the industry was in Leicester and has been in the past. And that's given me a huge enthusiasm and an inspiration for the whole show, really. There are a number, actually, but I chose some corsets because I know that Leicester is very well known for its underwear, but these are just the most amazing sculptural pieces, but also the way that they're being embroidered and the delicacy of them. And they show you really what the kind of skill that went into them, both in the design aspect, which Leicester is very famous for and still is to a certain extent, and the construction of the different materials that go together to actually make it. So I had to bring them in because they just feel so right really for the whole thing. And it's also an illustration of the clothing industry complete in Leicester, which has had a lot of different clothing aspects to it, from socks to shoes and underwear and so on. So I felt that they were ideal for a demonstration of all of that. Well, memories of industry, because I was here a long time ago, I have lots of friends who are in different aspects of industry, some in engineering and some in high tech and so on. And so in a way, it's been part of my life. Even as a child, I remember going to factories to see my father and how many thousands of people were coming out at any one time. And if you take, for instance, BU in Leicester, they had 4,000 people working there. And that's what I remember in my early days, of that amount of people coming in and out and so on. So how industry has changed really has been quite incredible. It's really quite fascinating. It's something I learned actually when I was doing my research, that in fact a lot of the industrialists felt that the well-being of their employees needed to be dealt with, and their happiness really. So they created and paid for a lot of the parks. But Abbey Park was not paid for in that way. Abbey Park was just a swamp. But a lot of the workers' houses were being flooded, and they had to do something about it. And so I think they realised then that was the lungs of the city, not that it shouldn't be this dirty place that was actually causing so many problems. So they actually widened the river and deepened the canal, so that in fact, and then nobody believed that they would ever make a park there, but within I think 2 years it started to look like something, and people use it even today. There's one that I can never forget really. Richard Attenborough always came here for board meetings, and I didn't know he was coming one day, but I was teaching some of the visually impaired people that I knew from when before the Attenborough actually was created. And Richard being Richard always came into the classes and came and had a look, and he came in and was chatting to them in a very genuine and caring way, so that they were delighted to see him. And then he went off to the board meeting, and about an hour later I happened to be going along the corridor, and he saw me and he said, "You know, we're having a lunch. You aren't coming, aren't you?" And I said, "Well, I haven't been invited." He said, "Nonsense, you're coming, come in." So I realised what a generous character he was, and how very supportive both of the students, but also of the staff and the whole place really. So it's an abiding memory that I have of the place really.